I'm inside the Sacred Machine Arts Gallery in Tucson. With me is Joey Burns, lead singer of the hit indie band Calexico. Tucson is a big part of the band's backstory.
For those Arizonans who make that, usually summer migration out of Arizona to San Diego, many people pass through a town called Calexico. So should we assume that that was your inspiration?
Yeah, very much so. We've made that same trek thousands of times, and so you can't help but notice it and wonder where a name like that comes from.
Right.
And then, of course, on the other side of the border is the town of Mexicali, Mexico. And so that duality and that kind of openness seemed to call to us back then in 1996. And together with the style of music we were making and the direction of a lot of our album covers by Victor Gastelum, it seemed a perfect fit.
The other half of Calexico is drummer John Convertino.
Depending upon where you play, what venue you may be at, I could come and see you and it could be you and John, or it could be any number of other musicians, is that right? How does sort of that work?
Well, we love collaborating, and it's so much fun. As musicians, we're fans of so many different kinds of music, whether it be mariachi or techno, or singer-songwriters, or maybe someone that plays a unique instrument. And it's just one way for us to kind of keep that excitement going, because if you do the same thing always the same time, it's the same personnel, it gets a little old after a while.
So it's ever-changing.
It is.
Another part of the band's roots is this, the Chicago Music Store. It's on Congress Street in downtown Tucson. Often, the desert sound is carried in the instruments that are bought and sold here, as if they've been cured with a flavor unique to Tucson.
And a lot of these instruments are really used. I mean, these bad boys have like worn out, Some of these drum sets and these guitars are like warped. And there's something great about that when you can get that instrument happening again. It's got all that stored energy,
So this place has character and its culture, and because of that, I would say it has influenced the music a lot. Look at this thing,
As is.
Those rhythms have a lot of Latin soul, borrowed from Mexican folk music. One sound that you can't escape in Tucson, the trains. A bit off the beaten path, but right up against the train tracks, is an art gallery and performance space called Solar Culture. It's a place that gives many startup bands their first audiences in Tucson. Solar Culture is the vision of a man who calls himself Stephen I.
The beauty of what Calexico does is pretty much what we would say is the Tucson sound. It's a merging of the indie rock world with the local scene, the Latin scene.
Part of that sound on much of Calexico's work is trumpet player Jacob Valenzuela. Jacob grew up in South Tucson's mariachi scene.
I think over the years, Calexico has definitely acquired a sound that, that is very inclusive with everyone that's involved in the band.
Stay put. When we come back, you've got a front row seat to a live performance from Calexico.